Today we're going to be talking about values, getting back in touch with those values, and how that can help us through tough times. When times get really hard, it may sound a little bit counterintuitive, but we can also kind of zoom out and look at some of the more existential questions, the bigger questions that we have in life. Questions like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Where am I going? Um, this might seem a little bit big, but if we can find some semblance of answers to these things in hard times, that's really going to help us get through whatever struggle that we're going through. So with that, I'm going to move us into the main part of our presentation today. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking a lot about values. I know this is a very ambiguous term, and it seems like, okay, how can that be helpful? All right, I'm going to walk you through all of that today. So what are values? They are our basic and fundamental beliefs that guide or motivate our attitudes or actions. Okay, they give us direction. They help determine what is important to us. They like it said, they guide our actions and give us kind of the general guidelines. How do we move through the day? What choices are we making? All right. So I like to think about our values like a compass. So they give us direction. They tell us which way to go here. So some values people might have: education, equity, friendship. These guide our decisions. Now, we also, with a compass, we need a map. And all of the little X's on our map, those are our life goals. Our goals also help to give us direction. We need both of these things. And when we make choices, our choices are what move us around on our life map. Sometimes it moves us towards our goals, sometimes away, sometimes really far off the path. Okay, so when we have our labels on our compass and our map, we know where we're going. However, if we don't explicitly name our values, then we're working with a compass with no labels. And we might be working towards goals that have been handed down to us by our family or society. And that may not be where we really want to go, just where we've been told we should go. Okay, so once we have explicitly named our values, it's like having directional markers on our compass and having a labeled map. Labeled maps are pretty helpful. They can help inform our day-to-day decisions and plan out where we'd like to go in the future, right? So some of the places on this map may seem familiar to some of you guys. But once we consciously set our values and goals, it's easier for us to stay on track or return to the track, even if it's hard. On our way to Security Hills, some of us might have taken the path through the forest of education, and those student loans, they're difficult. They're pretty scary guys, but hopefully the hauntings that we get with them is worth the piece of paper that we're presented with at the end of the forest of education. It makes it easier to fight through the forest if we know it's going to help us get, if it's the quickest route or best route, or maybe just the most popular route to get to, say, Security Hills. Okay. Values can also help us when we come to a landslide of pandemic proportions. So when we see our whole map here, when we have all these values kind of mapped out and we see the thing that's gotten in our way, that helps us think about if it makes more sense for us to, which direction would we need to take? Do we need to go over it? Do we need to go around it? Maybe we need to back up, right? So when the going gets tough, it's important that we stop and ask ourselves, where were we headed? Was the X on our map something that was really important to us, or some goal that kind of automatically got put in there? Is it time for us to change course? Do we need to, suffer through and try and get up and over? Do we need to take a path around and eventually get back to that? Or do we need to change the X on our map and maybe get back to something else that, after checking in, feels a little bit more important to us? So there will be struggles, okay? There were ghosts in the forest of education before there was ever the pandemic landslide. There will be struggles throughout our life maps. The pain is inevitable, but the suffering is optional. So if we know why we are hurting and we're confident in our decision to go through, to climb up over that mountain or to walk around the mountain, then that is going to help us reduce our suffering. And that is what value alignment can give us. So I want to tell a brief story to help illustrate the feelings of value alignment, because when you are aligned with your values, you feel it deep down within, and that's what provides the relief in very stressful times. So have any of you guys, I get the feeling that most foreign service officers and their families are very adventurous people. You guys ever taken an adventure when you're limited on time? Maybe it was a beautiful day and you decide you're just gonna figure it out. You're just gonna take a walk to get back to your campsite or your cabin or your hotel room if you're me, because I don't camp. And you're just like, well, it's okay. I can totally figure this out. I know the way. This is fine. Starts out lovely, but daylight doesn't last forever. So that feeling you start to get when maybe it starts to get a little bit darker, maybe that paved road turns to a gravel road, turns to a dirt road. That when you start to question if your Vietnamese was good enough to understand the directions you got from that one guy like a mile ago, that unknowing dread of trying to decide, do I try and turn back? Do I keep pushing forward? That sinking pit in your stomach when you don't recognize anything around you. The sun's going down. Yeah, that is what the same feeling that you get when your values are misaligned. When you're moving in the direction of something that isn't really important to you, as it starts to get scary or hard, you're not going to have much motivation to keep moving in that direction. And it may not even be clear if that's the way you need to be going. So when we are unaligned, we are less patient, more fearful, and very likely more irritable. I don't know if any of you have ever been lost with your significant other or maybe your children. This is when tensions start to get high. Okay. Add a phone without service, or maybe your battery's dying, or your maps won't load, and you're really going to feel like you're in trouble here. Okay. This is not a good place to be. Now I want you to go back to this moment and imagine that you have turned that last corner, you have broken through the woods, and oh, there is your cabin on the beautiful lake somewhere very far from Vietnam. Amazing. Wow. Oh, the relief, that joy, that yes, that is what realignment is like. Even if times have been hard, if we like turn the corner and see, oh, that's where I wanted to be. That's realignment. But the confidence you have, say, if you had a map the whole time and a compass, aka a phone with service, now that confidence when you can go down the tiniest of Google Map dirt roads, as long as you know, you know that your destination is at the end of that tiny road. If you can see where that road is going, that is alignment. We can do incredible things. We can walk so confidently when we know that we are going the right way. Even if the road gets muddy or rocky, it might make more sense to us to make it through that obstacle. So who wouldn't want alignment, right? Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I think values are so important. How do we get alignment? Well, we need to know what's on our values compass and our life goal map to gain that sense of security. Well, Faye, how do we do that? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you. It's okay. It takes a little bit of work, right? We need to do some self-reflection. We've got to know ourselves before we know, what's important to us. So we have to look at what's been handed down to us, what we believe now. That takes some time, some introspection. We can do that through worksheets and exercises, one of which I sent you guys. If you didn't get it, I'll send it again. And we also need to be intentionally setting our goals and checking in periodically with those goals. Make sure we're on the right track. If we're not, we can make some readjustments and make that path a little bit easier. And if we're struggling, or even if we just want a little bit of extra help, I would really recommend people meet with a therapist, another helping professional, or even a trusted elder to help you just get to know yourself better and find the paths and values that are right for you. Okay. I personally do a lot of values work with my clients. It was a direction I was moving even before the pandemic started, but it just became incredibly helpful and beneficial to my clients when everybody's situation got a lot harder. Values are my jam. So if you want extra resources about values, you can go to my website here. You can find me in all of these places. I try and share things whenever I find them to be helpful. But on my website, drfaye.com, there is a resources tab that just has tons and tons and tons of links to values and a lot of other related concepts and basically everything under the sun. So I encourage you to look at those resources if you want. You can contact me if you want. I'm here to be helpful, and I am happy to try and point you in the right direction if I can. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Just kidding, but really, that's enough of me talking. Let's get to work.